Hi guys, week 3 of your challenge. I hope you're feeling good. The third tip that I've got to give you is to really focus in on quitting sugar as much as you can. I think we all know about white table sugar, the stuff we add to our coffee. Obviously that's not good for us. But basically I just want to get to the nitty gritty of why it isn't good for us. I'll start with that and then we'll go through a few foods that you may think are healthy but they're actually really high in sugar. So we'll start with why it's a great idea to cut out sugar. Basically, sugar is an empty calorie. So for those of you who don't know what that means, an empty calorie means that there are no nutrients in that calorie whatsoever. So you're having sugar and the only thing you're getting is a bit of energy. This energy isn't a good type of energy. This is the energy that you get a bit of a high, and then in the afternoon you might find that you're getting a real slump. Something that people might call 3:30itis. That's not a normal thing. People think it's normal, but it's actually not, and you shouldn't be dealing with it. You should have a steady flow of energy throughout the whole day, and this is something that sugar really corrupts your body with. So that's the first reason why you should think about quitting sugar. Second reason, is because sugar doesn't actually interact with our hunger hormones. So when you think of fats and proteins, they interact with our hunger hormones and tell us we're full. But with sugar, when we consume it, it actually bypasses these hormones. And the sugar I'm talking about here is fructose. So basically what happens is it bypasses those hormones and it gets processed by the liver, not the stomach. And if you're having sugar in excess, once it reaches the liver, it doesn't actually store it as glycogen, which is a form of energy. It gets stored as fat if you're having too much of it. So that's the second reason why sugar does us no good. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some foods that you might not expect to be high in sugar. Obviously, as I said at the start of the video, white table sugar isn't the best. The best way to start to minimize that, if you're someone who has white sugar in your coffee, the best thing you can do, say you have 1 teaspoon a day in your sugar, cut that down to half and slowly reduce it until you no longer need it. Your taste buds will adjust and you'll be surprised how quickly you can actually do it. That's the first sort of easy way to cut down on sugar. Another food that is really high in sugar that you may not realize is fruit juice. If you think of a bottle of orange juice, that might contain up to 8 or maybe even 10 oranges. In that bottle of juice, you're getting the sugar from 8 oranges, and that's not something you need. You're also not getting the fiber in that juice, which helps. Basically, it helps your liver process it a lot easier, and it's not a big dump of fructose on your liver. So if you're having a whole bottle of fruit juice, it's just getting dumped on your liver and you're getting a whole heap of sugar that you don't need. A similar thing with fruit juice is dried fruit. So what I like to mention to some people is, imagine if you're eating, say, a couple of handfuls of sultanas. That might be 100 sultanas altogether. If you compare that to eating 100 grapes, you can't physically eat that many grapes because you'd be so full. The dried fruits, what happens is they take all the water out of it. And once that happens, a lot of the fiber is removed and it's actually really hard for our body to digest. So at the end of the day, the only thing we're getting is a handful of sugar. So dried fruits is a big no-no, especially if you're trying to quit your sugar and get rid of those cravings. Another food item that I wouldn't recommend is cereal. So a lot of cereals have up to even whole grain granolas and things like that. If you look at the packaging, they can have up to 3 teaspoons of sugar per serve. So the best thing you can do is make your own homemade granola, and I'll also post a recipe of that if you need something to follow in a healthy recipe. And another food item to avoid is low-fat products. To make up for the loss of fat, what they do is they add a whole heap of sugar. So if we're talking low-fat milk, they remove the fat and then they add a whole heap of sugar. So you're left with sugary water. These are just a few items. I could go on for hours about how many other foods contain copious amounts of sugar. What we want to work on this week, and again, I say it every video for the rest of your life, is just trying to cut down on sugar. The only source of sugar you should be getting is from fruit. So my recommendation is to have 1 or 2 serves of fruit a day. You get the fiber in there, you get the vitamins and minerals in there, and that's the best way to eat. Again, we're referring back to nature, we're eating natural foods, and that's our preferred state. So again, tip number 3, try and reduce your sugar intake.